And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen. Testing, check. Hello? How's the audio? Do we have the audio? So we'll wait for the room to fill up. How's everybody doing? Hi to Tim 3, Deborah Snacks, Reverse Universe, Hope Fawn Levinson, Lynn Pope. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live Sunday Q&A coffee talk with Diamond. So grab your coffee and your dabs. Buckle your seatbelts. Someone asked me to fix my video on the last live stream, which is impossible because this is being brought to you live by satellite. So it's not going to get that clear, folks. Hi, Frank, Robert and Kelly, CD, Mark the Vicar, Pete Yeager, Slachta, Patricia Actis, Ronson in the house, John Arlett, Simon Milner, Charlie Carell, Patricia Drummond, Tiffany Harmon. How the heck are you? How's everybody doing? 65 people in the house, 22 thumbs ups. That's my telemetry. Got a fresh selection of medicinals over here. Okay. Okay, let's Ben Davidson is the key, says Jackie's D. The key to what? Okay, everyone, I'm here to answer your questions, so please let me know what's going on there. Got any questions, leave them in the chat. New baby rabbits in the house for Easter. Happy Ishtar, everyone. The celebration of spring. The resurrection of life and grasses and weeds. Okay, we have 73 people in the house and not a single question in the chat. African volcano getting ready, I read this morning. Well, African volcanoes, for the most part, if we're talking the East African Rift Zone, are not that significant. They're just shield volcanoes similar to the one in Iceland. So no big boom there, probably. How do I use Patreon? Well, there are, I'm sure, 100 videos on YouTube on how to do that. So go to YouTube, type in the question, the search there. How do I use Patreon? And you'll have lots of videos to walk you right through it. The Iceland volcano is connected to the Atlantic mid-ocean ridge. In fact, Iceland is on the mid-ocean ridge. So the lava emanating from Glendengaldr Valley is coming from the mid-ocean ridge down deep. And so that is some deep material there. Why are people going crazy? Well, it could be a combination of things. Disillusionment, misinformation, fear, being driven by the media. Sprinkle little cosmic rays on there, and boom, you get crazy people. How bad is it going to be hurricane season for Florida? Well, I would say it's been pretty similar. And you didn't have any big hits last year, so I would suspect the probability of Florida getting hit by a major hurricane is very high. So be prepared. Don't be scared. You know you only have 2 roads to get out of that state, so. I have never tried the Jang seeder. Don't even know what that is. I seed by hand. We are in the process of getting backup systems at the ranch, yes, and we'll let you know exactly what we're getting when we get it. We're looking into the wood gasifier. We have we're going to have grid, solar, and a third backup. So once the grid goes down, you can go solar. Once the batteries die, you can just run straight solar. If you need electricity, if it's dark, you can use the gasifier. Potentially also considering getting a diesel backup generator, because if we have diesel on site, a few hundred gallons, that could help in a pinch. The problem with diesel backup generators is they're back ordered for months and months and months. Do you think the new Navy maps are developed by ground movement or glaciers melting? I have no idea what you're talking about, Charlie. Send me the new Navy maps to Oppenheimer Ranch at Gmail, and I'll take a look. There are no asteroids coming. There's always asteroids flying by, and there's always fear mongers saying they're going to hit. There are no asteroids coming to hit us, old country bastard. And furthermore, the majority of objects that enter Earth's atmosphere, A, burn up because the change coming into our atmosphere rips them apart and burns them up. Or if the charge is different than our planet, a lightning bolt called the plasma discharge hits the object and it vaporizes. Boosh! So almost nothing except little pieces ever hit the planet. Almost never. Almost all those objects are intercepted by static charge or burned up as they enter the atmosphere. What role do play in today's things to do with the planet? Rosemary, chemtrails are a psyop to keep you disinformed. The people pushing it, like Dane Wigington, are known charlatans. He used to be a solar installer. Now he's a master at Photoshop and fear mongering. Hydrogen fuel cell, brother. No, we're actually going to go with Edison iron batteries. They're the top of the line battery. They have safe electrolytes inside, so they're safe. They don't outgas any poisonous gases. They last forever, 75 years or more. So if you have solar, consider Edison iron batteries. Well, Michael Caldwell says, did you say our atmosphere is shrinking? The entire magnetosphere is shrinking. Therefore, the entire package, sphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, the whole box is shrinking down on us. So the whole layer cake of our protective layer of Earth is shrinking with the magnetosphere. So everything gets a little compressed. Do you have any information on planet vibration in the new alignment and how it could affect Earth? No, Mary. I have no idea about planet vibration. Thank you, Blue Moon. That's in Blue Moon Boom for the super chat there. People don't fear, just take a dab. Thanks for answering that question, Diamond. That was my thought also. I don't know which question that was, but you're welcome, Spitfire Red. Why no global flood coming? Why do you want a flood to come, first of all? In order to have a flood, you need precipitous amounts of rain to continue forever and ever, or you need a large landslide near the ocean to create a huge tsunami that washes around the world, or you need an object to hit the ocean, which creates a tsunami, which washes around the world, or you need to melt all the glacial ice and it runs off the surface as a flood. So it's very hard to get these things, and we'll know if it's happening, if a flood is coming. But so that's as far as I go there. Morning, Jeremy. Oh, where am I? I just lost it. I'm trying to read all this. It's just so many chat things here. I apologize. Have you heard of distilling plastic into a diesel fuel? Yes, you could buy the apparatus. It's quite expensive, and you need unlimited amounts of plastic. So if you have like $100,000 to throw around, you could probably get that device. And imagine you're making other terrible byproducts at the same time. So where are you going to store all that crap? I am Ronson. I looked into it and it's like, do I want to have a toxic chemical factory at my ranch? I don't know. I'd rather just use a horse and plow. It's much safer. Excuse me. Thank you for answering that question, Diamond. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Have you heard of distilling plastic? Morning. Oh, I love Diamond. Thank you, Sassafras. What's your opinion of Nikola Tesla's work? It's absolutely been suppressed. It's groundbreaking, and they're reworking on it right now. I had a conversation with the gentleman that died last year, unfortunately, about 3 years ago. And we were discussing this company that he was part of called Texon, which had already looked into wireless energy transfer, doing it point to point on the surface of the planet, shooting it up into space and back down to some sort of a receiver like you could at a house. So people in extremely rural areas would just simply be able to beam energy to their houses. And this was fascinating technology. He offered us to get in on the company early, but it seemed hokey. But lo and behold, 3 years later, they're actually working on it. Texon now has a new name, but it's out of Texas, and they are working on Tesla's work right now. So we could have been working on that, 80 years ago. But so that's the unfortunate reality of Tesla, True Helper. How do you prioritize your days? I don't. I do as much as possible, and then I go to bed when I can't do anymore. So that's how you do it. And you always have a list of have to do's. Like if the axle breaks, you got to fix the axle. So there's have to do's, and then there's want to do's. And I want to do everything. So I do as much as possible, as much as needed. Like in the spring, I try to plant something, some type of seeds every single day, all the way through July, and then keep up with it through the summer. So that's one thing I have to do, plant seeds every day. And then whatever else comes. I live through inspiration. So a purpose-driven life. Some people use lists, and that's great for them, but I'm not a list person. And if you ask Leah, she'll tell me I need more lists. But I just can't do lists because I'm doing so many other things. I can't have a list. There's just piles of. Have you ever gone into that professor's office where there's just piles of shit? Yeah. Has there been an increase in low humidity weather in the Northeast? Does anything you talk about? I don't understand the question, but I don't know. I left there 6 years ago. So if the mosquitoes are better and the black flies up in the Northeast, then yes, the humidity is lower. Historically, during grand minimas, which last for decades, and let's just go over that. The Maunder minimum from 1645 to 1715, right? 5 decades. The Dalton minimum from 1790 to 1830, 4 decades. The Centennial minimum from 1880 to 1915, 3.5 decades. So this minimum we're going into should be a bigger one, more like the Dalton, 5 decades potentially. Are we in the first decade? Yes. 4 more decades. Is the bottom in 2 decades or in 15 years? Anybody's guess. But at the bottoms of these minimums, we have extreme droughts on the East Coast. If you don't believe me, simply watch the story about Jamestown that's on Oppenheimer Ranch Project. We have a full video there, documentary, with Liv Schreiber, I think, narrating. So, and it's a fascinating story about what happened, and we almost didn't steal the country from the natives. We almost died out. But a supply ship came, and all the people that were starving left, and it was all saved. So all I'm saying is the East Coast, like the mid-Atlantic, suffers extreme droughts at some point into the times we're going into. Now, the grand solar minimum is just a minor blip in what we're going into. We really need to be worried about the magnetic reversal 100%. That is the number one threat to life on Earth. And what I mean by that is the life that you know, the technological life you're living, all of the stuff all your electronics, the reason I'm talking to you right now, this is all going to go away at some point in the near future. Maybe first just in blips where it'll be down for months, but at some point it will go away forever. Now, are you ready for that? Because the majority of people on the planet are not, and it's going to be a terrible situation. Okay, back to the questions. Would you say the magnetosphere is shrinking? Yes. And then it will be expanding again. Well, yeah, sure. During the excursion, it shrinks and then it gets bigger as the field returns. Yes, of course it does. But that shrinking period and the time we're in there could be months, decades. It's anyone's guess, and it will be very difficult times at that point. And we're talking the weak field when it's very weak and it will be difficult on Earth is looking to be about 15 to 20 years out during that terrible time when our magnetosphere could be down 10%. 10% would be terrible on the planet for weather, for everything, for radiation raining down on us. Stay inside. When the sun comes up, you'll get burned. So that's really what we have to worry about. And prior to that, we have to worry about grid perturbations in the next 3 years, coming in the next 3 years. The next solar cycle, cycle 25, is going to peak in 3 or 4 years. And as we get up there, we're going to see flares coming at Earth with a weakened shield. And we have never been on a planet with a shield this weak going into a cycle. So it's going to be a show. Airplanes will not have to fly at lower altitudes. We're talking a few hundred feet a year shrinkage. You know, and they're flying up between 30 and 40,000 feet, 25 to 40,000 feet. So they're at all different levels. What we will have to do, flights over high latitudes are going to be extremely dangerous, almost like astronauts flying in space. So in 5 years or so, the radiation could be so bad. I would suspect it's going to be more like 9 years. During the minimum between cycle 25 and 26, it might be very dangerous to fly on airplanes. But it's my opinion that this globalist takeover, it's going to be very dangerous to fly on airplanes anyway. So regardless, but you're going to be exposed to more radiation as you go up, and the higher latitude you are, the more radiation there is. So that's the danger there. How long do you think we have till the other magnetic field hits Earth? Diane, it's not another magnetic field. So we're floating in a sea of magnetism, and it has crests and troughs in intensity. So that wave is already hitting us, and it's already affecting us. As it pushes in, the magnetosphere is waning. So it's not like a shock wave that hits us. It's already hitting us. And last night we reported on Uranus flaring like a star, or some super aurora on Uranus. And that would be indicative of that perturbation moving through us, the entire solar system now. It's pushing through right now. And so the effect is going to gradually increase, which decreases the magnetosphere on our planet and the sun's effects at the same time. So it's all happening simultaneously. I'm 58. I won't be around. Yes, you will, Patricia. Won't the magnetic reversal cause flooding per Ben D and Doug Vogt? So if Ben Davidson and Doug Vogt are now the same person, I don't know how to answer that question. The flooding that Doug Vogt talks about, there's no geologic evidence for it on the surface of the planet geomorphologically. He has some evidence on continental margins of drainage patterns in the canyons that are there. But the story that they tell is probably not true. And if it is true in any amount, it only happens every 100,000 years based on all the proxy data we have. The last major event was the Younger Dryas event, and it's over. So it's not coming again for 85,000 years or more, a crustal slip. And this is corroborated by the work of Mario Buildup Reps, who has calculated the angles of all the megalithic structures on planet Earth, and they line up to 4 different pole positions that are in a line, which represents Greenland once being at the pole and now is sliding south towards the equator. So that is my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. No major flood. There's no evidence of major catastrophic flooding washing over North America during the Younger Dryas either. So think about that. The work of Randall Carlson proves major outwash events, but these were huge continental glaciers that were miles thick that melted instantly. So something hit that or melted the continental glacier during the Wisconsinian up in North America here almost instantly, causing huge outwashes, 100,000 times bigger than any river we see today. And these are in the channeled scablands. There's even evidence for it outwashing down into the Gulf of Mexico. Absolutely fascinating work by Randall and brilliant. And then if an ocean washed over that, that would pretty much erase that evidence. And that is not how it is. The evidence is crisp and fresh and erosional from the melting of the ice caps 16,000 years ago to around 12,000, 11,500. That outwash is visible, and it wasn't erased by a huge colossal flood, crustal slip, and the ocean slipping over. None of that. Additionally, there are structures on Earth that are very ancient that if there were 1,000-mile-an-hour winds, they would all be completely flattened. And they're not all completely flattened. There were devastating effects on our planet, but none to the scale that's described in the Adam and Eve story. Okay, if crustal slip is off, I'm feeling a whole lot more positive. Yeah, I think crustal slip happens every 104 kiloyears or in that neighborhood, and the last one happened. And it's only a minor slip. It's not the whole planet flipping or something. According to the work of Mario, it moves a few hundred miles, which, by the way, is pretty significant on a planet that's spinning. But it's survivable because we're all here. So there's that. And we don't have much ice left for giant floods right now, Ransom. You are correct. So we don't have huge continental glaciers to cause that. If we melt all the ice that exists on the planet right now because of some event, sea level only comes up 120 feet. Max. That's the max it can come up. That would flood every major city, but it would take a very long time for that to happen because of physics. When you melt all the water and it hits the ocean doesn't rise. That's how massive the oceans are. You actually have to wait, and physics has to take place where you have thermal expansion, and then that would cause the sea to rise. So it wouldn't be instantaneous anyway. So all that, it's all BS, all the stuff that Hollywood shows you and that you hear about. Thermal expansion prevents rapid sea level rise. 90-degree tilt, no way, Water Dog Herb Farm. No way. Okay, let me look for some more questions here. The increased volcanism is direct evidence for the drastic effects the magnetic reversal has on the elasticity of the lava, which is the mechanism for the crustal slip. No, there's not lava between the crust and the mantle. There isn't lava there. It's a plastic zone. So what we believe at this point is that there are electrical factors almost blocking the two, electromagnetic factors that lock the crust to the mantle. And at some point, when the magnetic field is low enough, that magnetic lock is unlocked, you can slowly plastically move on that surface. It has nothing to do with lava. Lava forms when the pressure in that area changes and has access to the surface, which can melt the rock, and then the rock comes up as molten rock. So lava is more site-specific. It can move into hypothetical magma chambers, but it's looking more and more like that's a fairy tale idea. And what we saw in Iceland is a magma form at depth below the crust and push its way up through the crust, cracking its way up until it hit the surface as lava. So that mechanism, what it's believed is happening, the increased volcanism on Earth could be created by increased cosmic radiation heating the muons in the subsurface and sparking off those formations of magma. Magma is lava underground. Lava is magma above ground, if you didn't know that. So below ground, it's all magma. Above ground, it becomes lava. I don't even know if I answered a question. Okay, we're going to do a few more. We do a few more. When the moon came, the equator changed. No idea what that means. What about the planet wobbling? Well, my graduate studies was on the Milankovitch perturbations of our solar system, and that it's based on a 26,000 year potential wobble, where for 12,000 years we're away, pointing away from the sun, and then we're towards the sun. But it's looking more and more like that work is merely theoretical mumbo jumbo. So, and it may actually be the whole solar system is moving through the galaxy in a spiral, as above, so below. So we're above the plane of the ecliptic in the galaxy for half the cycle and below it for the other half. And this would explain the yugas and the astrology and the astronomy, and without the Earth having to wobble. So this is all very new work in the last decade or so. Magma production is due to the resonance between terrestrial crust and mantle features and ejecta. As it approaches the Earth's surface from above, the ejecta achieved flight by the process of I have no idea what you just wrote there. No one does. NASA says 2024 South Atlantic magnetic zone will split in two. Anything's possible. That the northern pole has split in two now. There's a remnant magnetism over Canada, and the actual magnetic pole's moving towards Siberia. So there's two. There's a dipole in the north now, and the compass points to the middle. So anything's possible with magnetism. And what happens during magnetic excursions like we are living now is, as the field weakens, multiple poles show up. There's evidence that up to 8 poles at once will pop up. So this is to be expected. And if it does split, it might accelerate, and there'll be other splits, and then we'll have multiple poles. As the magnetosphere wanes below, let's say 50%, we should see multiple poles. Geologically, we have known this in the past and proven it using petrography and geomagnetism and other studies that we can actually do on the rock. Because in lavas that are in situ, you can take rock samples and get perfect magnetism from these samples that have been sitting in place. And then if you have lava flow over lava flow over lava flow, you're going to get all these magnetic compass directions. And there is a pretty high resolution on what I'm telling you here as far as multiple poles during magnetic excursions. So let's keep a close eye out for that happening. David S. Yeah, if the electric universe model is true, then our solar system has to be moving in a Birkeland current, because the sun is a pinch point in that Birkeland current. So the sun is the Z pinch in the current, and we're traveling in it. Yes, I see the picture. Okay, where am I? Okay, I know whatever happens, Diamond will be on the beat with the skinny. Exhalation occurs when stone spontaneously splits into the constituent elements it is comprised of. Yeah, but you were talking about magma and ejecta, those two things, magma at depth and ejecta. Ejecta is on the top, magma at depth is not. So your statement was, write it in English so someone can understand it. Just using big words doesn't make you smart, by the way. I'm missing some good questions. I'm behind on the magnetic anomaly over South America. What do you have any updates on that? How do you see that interacting with the shifting poles, if at all? It's part of the process, Matt. If you have a high magnetic field on one side, you're going to have weak on the other. It's just part of the process. And if that hole gets weaker and weaker and weaker, you can have satellites falling in there and all kind of weird stuff happening there. So, but it's going to be gradual, and we're going to all witness it happen. It's nothing, nothing quick. So it's going to slowly happen, slowly, and if it picks up, it'll pick up for weeks and months, and we'll be able to tell bad things will happen. Any data on how well your greenhouse covering will protect your plants from the effect of what's coming. You just have to protect them from hail and extreme weather and wind. So you need a rigid greenhouse. Don't overthink it. Some scientists equate the universe to the human mind. Yeah, that's absolutely how it works, Michael Pierce. There are many of us who think that the universe is an infinite neural network. And if you just simply look up the term plasma scaling, that defines everything that exists in the world, in the universe. Plasma scaling at every scale, which is why when we see a model of an atom, it looks just like a solar system, and a solar system looks just like a galaxy spinning. It's all scales of the same thing, replicated in a very intelligent design that's been here forever. Can you believe that? I wish I could have chickens too. Oh, I do have chickens. Why does it seem that there is more? Why does it seem there is more going on at the equator and below? More what going on at the equator and below? More what? What would be the timeline for grid down after super flare hits Earth? When the super flare hits Earth, it's grid down that second. So when we witness the super flare, depending on the speed, we could have as little as 8 hours until it hits Earth. But a typical large CME would take 16 to 24 hours to get here. So we have time when we know it happens to when the grid's going to fail. But what does that help you do? Nothing. You could disconnect all of your things and hopefully and hope that a surge won't fry your stuff. But if it's a super flare, it doesn't matter if it's connected to the grid. Anything electronic will fry. It will heat. Anything metal will heat. So it'll be a bad day. Your Faraday cages will heat. Earthships are great, but they don't produce food, and they're very labor intensive. So there are so many other options that aren't as labor intensive, that actually produce food, that utilize all the techniques in Earthships. And you don't need 2,578 tires and 8,500 people to smash them fill with dirt. You just use a berm in the back, dig a hole, make an earth berm home. Same exact technology. And then you can put a geothermal greenhouse on the front that actually grows food, like the one we put on the front of our barn. So all the technology is great, but it's not so great. And they don't grow food so well. Okay, 2 more questions. Here we go. Andrew Brevin, Diamond, would you say the middle of cycle 25 is most likely time for a large CME? Not the middle. It is moving up towards it. So 2023, that would be prime time. 24, 23, 24. And always at the peak of the cycle, but it's usually moving up towards or coming down from where we get big events, but towards the peak. So from 23 to 26 is, cross your fingers, the grid makes it through that time period on Earth. And by then you should have all your crypto out of everything. All in silver next to you and seeds over here. What, on your ranch that you bought with your crypto. Okay. You don't know me, Mom. Do you think ancient empty magma chambers many miles underground could really house inner Earth people? No. No way. Nope. Even with bioluminescence and all this other stuff, you would end up with some type of a creature that's slug-like and barely moves or something. It's just the idea of there being hominid-like people living underground for thousands of years somehow is pretty cockamamie. And Occam's razor just says, someone would have gone down there and found them by now. I mean, we've been on Earth for a long time. And the people at the top would know about the people down below at this point. I just think it's a funny idea. I'm doing fine, Luke. How many sunspots are they predicting for cycle 25? A max of 110. I think some new papers coming out. We're in the, I don't think it'll get anywhere 75, 85, but it doesn't matter because it's the cycle after that that's totally dead. But what we have to worry about is moving up and solar flaring in the next 3 years. So back up your house, you know, have backup energy, have that, if you're in a city, have a bug out plan, because if the power goes out for a long period of time, you need to get out quick or they'll block the roads and you'll be stuck in there. Remember that. Have a plan to get out. California volcanoes wake up. Well, we'll wait and see. It's happening now. There's an uptick in the volcanoes in the Cascades and in California now. There are small seismic swarms have been increasing over the last 3 years. So we just wait, and as they increase, eventually one will erupt. And that's when we'll know. But it's already happening, whoever asked that question, and we've reported on those upticks. Someone asked a David LaPointe question. Have you seen the Primer Fields video on... Yeah, the Primer Fields videos are ancient. They've been out for years. And if you're just getting up to speed on that, you have a long way to go. David LaPointe has become a little bit of a weirdo. I've had a dialogue with him over the years, and he's gotten weirdly religious recently and very difficult to deal with and talk to. So he might be purging his own work because it doesn't meet his standards anymore. Who knows? Just a weird dude. Or nice dude, but a little weird. Exhalation, how diamonds and glaciations are made. Fracking is the worst thing we've ever done to the planet. All frack wells leak, and all frack wells are deep. Now you couple that, and there's millions of them. So what that does is it pollutes the deep groundwater forever and ever and ever. Polluted forever by spreading that methane and all the other toxic shit into all of the layers and all of the aquifers in the subsurface. And then they have this toxic waste that they used to frack with. The wastewater then gets injected even deeper into the deepest depths of the deepest aquifers in the crust, where they put radioactive toxic waste, which will be toxic for tens of thousands of years. So fracking has essentially toxified huge portions of the groundwater on Earth forever. Forever. And water's pretty important. So fracking sucks. Yeah, Jenny, I think you might have taken him down. People have if you Google, you can find the Primer Fields. They've reposted them in other channels. They're there. I've downloaded them years ago. I have them on some laptop sitting around here. Where are we exactly? And how sure of you are that? Proof. Where are we exactly? We are wherever we are, Donna, exactly. And I can prove it to you because you're right there. That's where we are. Okay, one more question. We do lots of fracking in Oklahoma. Yeah, they frack all over down here. All of northern New Mexico, thousands of frack pads. And no one lives out there. I wonder why. No, it's BLM land mostly. It's like shitting in your water filter. Exactly, Ransom. East Coast Canada. Ha, great response. Okay. I watched the Primer Fields. And if your car or truck with brain tech you're sold. I don't even know what that means. Will this be available to watch later? Yes, of course you can watch it later. As soon as it's done, it's rewatchable, I believe. How do you think the reversal is going to affect electric motors and tech? There will be no tech and electric motors if there is a magnetic reversal. Nah, not happening. And we'll have to rebuild everything, which will be possible because there are people that are technologically advanced and can rebuild things. That's how we got here. So most of us, if there's a reversal, we won't make it through because we just won't know how to act. And we won't have the proper setup underground for long periods of time when there's huge cosmic rays or whatever is happening on the surface. We also won't have the equipment to know what's happening or the wherewithal. We won't have the proper prior planning to grow food underground or something, or the preps to live long periods of time. What if it's extremely cold for years and the sun never comes out? Can you live underground in the dark for 3 years? Would you go stir crazy? I mean, these are the kind of things that no one can answer except Doug Vogt, apparently. Guys, it was a pleasure talking to y'all. I got lots of stuff to do and I got to roll. We're going to do this again real soon. Let's do this every single week. Give it a thumbs up. Thanks to the super chat we had earlier. I really appreciate that. Who dropped that bomb in here? I'm looking. I can't even find the super chat. That's how many people are chatting. 321 people in the room. Appreciate each and every one of you. 325. Hit that thumbs up on the way out. Thanks to our one-time donors, our Patreons, everyone who shares this video. Subscribe to both channels, Magnetic Reversal News and Oppenheimer Ranch. We also have a third channel, Shinrin Yoku, with some awesome healing videos if you can't get out there and walk in the woods yourself. That's how much we love you. Be safe. That's boom.